Hey everybody, this is Spook, and this is the Spook live stream video about Predator Badlands, a review as well as commentary on this movie. Hunting versus profiteering, earning the cloak, and different ways of raising wolves. Anyway, so yeah, if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna talk about the movie, and I'm gonna try to not spoil it. But may we'll see how we do. But I'm not gonna be recapping it or anything like that. Uh, just want to kind of talk about it and around it, and just kind of comment on it. Also, just obviously, maybe you've already seen it, but I did recently interview fellow game dev James Dearden yesterday, so just a little ad for that. There's 2 videos this week. Usually I make one, so don't forget to check out the one right before this video because you might miss it if you get notifications in various places. Anyway, Predator Badlands is well, I would definitely thumbs up. I would say it's a. I don't know what the stars. 4.5. 4.5 science fictional bows from alien cultures out of 5. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know what the general. I haven't actually looked at a whole bunch of reviews. Hard to know exactly what the. It depends on where you look. Obviously, there's some people who don't like anything for sure. So that's not actually that helpful. Their whole job is basically clicks, click farming, rage bait, whatever. Putting capital lettered violent words in titles, and just I don't know, paying their rent with that. I guess I don't know what that is. So but it's hard to know, like that's not really a good you can really give you a good sense of how the movie is. I obviously I think that as a Predator movie, and I've been watching lots of these movies over the years. I'm a fan of the. I'm like a super ultra diehard Predator fan necessarily. Like I watched more Aliens. I watched even more Terminator. Obviously, you you look at the Spook games out there like Neofeud and Terminator Machina. I'll probably watch more Terminator and more cyberpunk specific sort of films, and been more adjacent to working in, and also consuming media in various forms, games, etc., TV shows of that kind. But Predator is definitely it's in the Aliens versus Predator universe, which includes all the Alien films, which are, of course, the Xenomorph movies are, they're a kind of cyberpunk film. I think I've seen some arguments that, there's an essay about how Alien was kind of like one of the first like cyberpunk or proto cyberpunk movies. You have a high tech. You have giant mega corporations for sure, running everything, wrecking everything. Weyland-Yutani specifically, which also shows up in Predator Badlands. So this is really it is like a alien. It's a Predator movie, but its title is Predator, with the red, bright blood red, capital font. With the slashing, like the drizzling blood look. That's like the classic original Predator, the late 20th century Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator title. This one anyway. I don't know if that's the official one, but definitely looks like that. And then but it has Aliens universe material in it. There's a lot of speculation whether Predator will be more tied into and directly overlap with Alien Earth. And I've done some Alien Earth videos at least one in the last 6 months. Alien Earth. Well, I should say Alien Earth was my. I'll give Alien Earth like number one TV series. I've been watching more TV and movies than TV series and movies than playing games recently. So it's just I find it easier for me to do. Even Macaulay Culkin from Fallout, he says like I don't have the time and energy for this anymore, and sometimes I feel bad. I put the earbud in, I listen to the plot of games and stories on YouTube. So I'm like that. I mean, Macaulay Culkin and me, Mr. From Home Alone to Rome Alone, we have that in common. And but I find like watching TV shows can be a little more doable, because I think it's like you kind of start it, stop it. You don't gotta worry about firing the entire game up, making sure your thing don't crash. You're slowing your computer down. It just seems like it is more of a direct investment, but you can like listen. Ideally, you don't just listen to the movies. Like I didn't just listen to Predator Badlands, obviously. I sat down and watched that. But a lot of people like do actually like listen to TV shows and movies though. And so it's easy to, unfortunately, like if it's a show where you really got to be paying attention what's on screen, it's easy to like, a lot of people like get upset when they like miss information that's communicated on screen. That's a whole other thing. People getting upset at obvious things that are on screen that are missed because you're listening to it. But, because you can do other things while, right? Like, so like hybrid work / entertainment consumption is like a norm of the 2020s. So anyway, where am I going with that? Back to Predator Badlands. Long story short, I did sit down and watch this entire movie, because I any Alien or Predator thing, I'm gonna definitely focus and set the time aside. Holly and I watched it together. Holly also really wanted to watch it as well, for various reasons. Yeah, I think it was really a fun movie. Predator is Predator is a franchise that has, it's kind of a standard Hollywood action franchise. Since the original one in the 1980? Shoot, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was 1980s, not 70s. Sorry, my track computer is being a bit odd. But yeah, Predator is, it's been a standard action genre movie. Obviously centered around hunting and being hunted. Okay, my track computer. Oh, there you go. Yeah, centering around hunting and being hunted, and it's not really a movie that it's pretty. The world is pretty small, tight, constrained. There's not a lot of historically in the Predator series. It's it's basically Arnold Schwarzenegger and his team of special forces, military members, right? And they are, I think it's, if I don't have all the lore at the top in front of my brain for this right now, but they're hunting in South America, right? Or they're doing. Actually, it's kind of messed up right now. I think about Venezuela in this context and U.S. imperialism down there. There's a Millennials Are Killing Capitalism video on the Imperial 80s, and Predator is one of the movies that they examine, worth taking a look at. Anyways, Predator is U.S. military, is in South America, ostensibly enforcing international law. Sounds kind of ridiculous as you said. Their U.S. military is doing things in South America. Let's put it that way. So I don't have to go any more into it than that. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is the leader of this team, right? Which includes Jesse Ventura, who later on became. It's funny because what's actually really interesting? 2 Predator stars became U.S. politicians, governors in America. Isn't that kind of weird to think about? Jesse Ventura Um, Obviously now he's calling Trump a coward, and he's owed another governor's term. Uh, um, he's been an outspoken person also politically for a long time, including against U.S. Imperial actions all over the place. He actually had to flee the country at one point because of his stances. He was kicked off of the air, I think, in the noughties for his stances against U.S. wars in the Middle East and U.S. policy, Central South America, around the same time as Geraldo Rivera. Anyways, he actually almost got into a fist fight with the guy who wrote the U.S. pro-U.S. war film, the book that became the Clint Eastwood produced film American Sniper. Anyway, Chris Kyle. Chris Kyle didn't survive. Jesse Ventura. No. Anyway, long story short, he was also on RT for a while, which was a channel that had Americans saying true things. Let's put it that way. Rebel Americans saying true things when they were kicked off of U.S. air. Anyways, but one thing is actually Jesse Ventura. He was actually in Predator, right? That his I forget what was his character's name. And he's also Jesse is also a fan of Prey, the sequel. That's also Dan Trachtenberg's movie. Before Predator Badlands. I'm sorry, I'm giving you a bunch of history, but I got it. I once I pop, it can't stop. But this is what was his name? You get wrong stuff when you go search with AI. AI is like meth, not even once. Blaine Cooper, that's what it is. Predator. He's also in The Running Man, which also had Arnold. Arnold was also in that. So, anyways, but in 1987, and Jesse Ventura was also a wrestler as well. Blaine Cooper. He's the guy who holds the giant minigun, which is this gun is a it's a Vulcan minigun. It was meant to be an aircraft to aircraft or G2A, extremely high bullets per second, high RPM gun, and it was basically literally impossible for any human to be like holding that and firing it for any length of time. It's just absolutely ridiculous and impossible that it would make any sense. But like, it looks really cool, right? And I think the weight of the ammunition would be like hundreds of pounds just to fire it for a matter of seconds, right? So the idea that you'd be like walking around the jungle with this gun is kind of, but it looks cool, right? In Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Arnold gets to hold the gun, right? And fire it at hordes of cops and cop cars, and he makes them all explode. And he gets to be a badass in his black leather coat and black leather pants with dark sunglasses. Anyway, sorry, one sec. Yeah. So, anyways, sorry, I'm getting lost in this. I gotta get back to the point. But yeah, all that's to say that the Predator franchise has been around for a while. It started the plot is not that complicated. The U.S. military forces is out there in South America in a jungle, right? So it also has some. Well, it's not just a metaphor for Vietnam, but that's partially what's going on. There's elements of Vietnam in there, but it's also the U.S. was also obviously being very active and has been and still is active in Central and South America militarily. But they're also increasing their operations in Latin America in that time, and that is part of that's not what the story is about, but that's like part of the backdrop of it. And anyway, so they're hunting. Or they're down there doing their enforcement operations, quote unquote, and but then they run into this obviously extremely advanced alien entity that is invisible or can turn invisible. Hunts with shoulder-mounted plasma casters. Spears, various spear guns, blades, knives, like machete, sword-like objects, weapons, like boomerang-like weapons, the predator disc, and there's a whole host of weapons but that it uses, and it's a trophy hunter. It doesn't hunt. It doesn't kill children, doesn't kill pregnant women, doesn't kill like innocent civilians and women that are not fighting, that are not a combat member. But every one of this force is a soldier, right? It's like a trained killer. So every one of them is fair game for the predator. The Yautja is the name you later discover that they are. So anyway, and Arnold is just the last one that survives and uses a lot of guerrilla warfare tactics. That's a very Vietnam part of it. It's like he has to build like spiked, like wooden spiked pits and tripwired booby traps. And there's a lot of stuff that happened in Vietnam War. A lot of Americans that came back from Vietnam, right, they tell these stories, and Hollywood was like making movies about that. Like Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, the Ewoks are, George Lucas even said the Ewoks are like a encrypted alien Vietnamese, basically. Especially when they're the way that they fight and what they do in the jungle, and even like the way that they speak. It's also like related to the indigenous tribe. I think there happened to be an indigenous tribe near Marin County, where George Lucas is from, called the Miwoks. And then he named them Ewoks. But anyways, indigenous culture appropriation aside, there's a whole host of videos to be done on that one. James Cameron, George Lucas, and everyone else. But anyway, long story short, so Predator fights. Predator is killed, and it's a pretty open and closed story. Is what I'm trying to get to. Predator Badlands expands the Arnold survives and doesn't die, but almost gets blown up by a almost nuclear bomb scale super big explosion that the Predator. In the event it is close to death, right, or in the event that he or she is close to death, the Predator can activate the slowly disintegrating chromosome-like alien time bomb, right? That's attached to their wrist, or their forearm, and there's lots of like really cool classic, very memorable effects and designs that most certain people my age, as an elder Xennial, definitely is very familiar. And they actually, like, some of these don't actually show up in this. Nobody actually uses the self-destruct. That's some of the differences. So like Predator Badlands, it doesn't like it takes like a different direction. It like explores a lot of new aspects of the Alien vs Predator universe and the Predator world. I mean, so overall, just in case people are like, so I'm gonna watch this show or not. I mean, you just keep talking about ancient history and around it. I do recommend it's a good movie. I would say watch it. It's definitely not boring. Most stuff that comes out of mainstream, most, I should say, to calibrate that, most non-AI generated human-made art that comes out of what studio is this? Most human-made art that comes out of the big studios is at least watchable. It's definitely it's an entertaining movie. It's worth watching. The acting isn't abysmal. I don't mean that to insult anybody in this movie. But I've seen some movies ruined by that, unfortunately. Like, for example, Blood Rain. Ben Kingsley's worst performance. Anyways, Uwe Boll movies aside, the Predator Badlands is a movie that it expands the Predator universe. So you have not just the Yautja as a kind of otherworldly, supernatural, almost like a supernatural force. They're kind of very mysterious. They arrive and they kill, and not too much is known, other than like they are some kind of alien. They come from outer space. They've been and later in Predator 2, in Predator 1, it's just like this alien. It's something out there. It's a ghost. It's a demon. Maybe it's some weird local, some local superstitious story of the people there talking about this. I think there's like a native person who talks about, it's the dark spirit or something, right? I think the Jamaicans in Predator 2 refer to it. I forget. It's like the demon, right? You look into the eyes of the demon only when you're about to die. I think that's a line from King Willie. But there's all this, but like we're not sure like what is out there. Maybe nothing's out there. Maybe people are just being killed by wolves or bear. That's like a lot of the beginning of Predator movies is like speculation about what it is, and only by the end you find out it is something else. And it's not like a supernatural thing. It is like even though it feels that way because of its abilities, but it's a super advanced alien that has it actually has very indigenous tribal hunting culture with its own rituals and its own method. It's actually a lot of the predator hunting is about coming of age. It's like indigenous coming of age trials, right? Like gauntlet, proving oneself to the tribe, right? Is that if you have to bring back a trophy, you have to prove that you are capable of hunting. As part of you're entering as an adult into the Yautja society. Yeah, so there's actually that whole overlay is like and I forget the original writers. I haven't gonna look it all up, but it's heavily coded that way, right? And that's one aspect about Predator that I'll tell you, looking back at it later, very more closely, it's like. I think some people don't like certain kinds of people. Let's just say more bigoted people don't like it because of the way that it has very like indigenous, global majority, very like Africa, like traditional Africa, Asia, Turtle Island, or the Americas indigenous kind of coding in the way that the characters are. Even the Predator's dreadlocks, right? They're not actually dreadlocks, but they're very dreadlock-like, right? Their hair is definitely not Euro. You know what I mean? But the way they move in the world, the way they relate to nature is very like various indigenous global cultures. The kind of weapons they use, the tools they use, right? Like this one has a bow that's on the screen. Like they have extremely advanced technology, but it's also very like indigenous hunting tools, right? Like let's look at predator weapons. I think I know I've done at least a few videos. I did a video on prey. Pretty sure. I wonder if it's gonna come out. No. Okay. I know Holly. I'm sure will be able to get, but I know I did a video specifically on prey. From an indigenous perspective. I'm a native one myself, so that's something that is yeah. Anyways, here's a bunch of the predator weapons. Okay, I can't see that very well though. So they have knife, gauntlet. So they have like knives. The staff is like a bow staff or like a spear. It's a spear, but it can like collapse down so that you push a button on the center of this little 1 foot long metal small metal stick, and then it elongates into like an 8 foot long spear, right? It's definitely not something from Earth. Smart weapon. What is it? The Predator disc, the smart weapon, is kind of like, I guess it was an early design name was the smart weapon. It operates kind of like a boomerang though, right? Which is an indigenous people of Australia hunting tool, right? Screaming through the air, the tapered disc is glowing, a guillotine returning in a tight arc after wreaking its havoc. Yeah. Many people have lost their head to that. Many already dismembered cattle. Many sides of beef had their ribs cut in half in Predator 2. In the Nick Nolte, or is it Gary Busey? I can't remember which one it was. Nick Nolte in the meat locker scene in Predator 2, also known as City Predator. Anyway, projectile net cowling. Oh, the Predator hunts with nets, right? Launches traps of lacerating wire, pinning victims with high speed, and self-driven bolts. So he has like nets, right? He has like a boomerang type weapon. Emergency self-destruct mode. Unless interrupted, the command sequence unleashes enough blast power to vaporize everything in 200 acres. Oh, so that they kind of specifically spelled it out. Wow, that's a lot. It's not quite a nuclear bomb, but it's like almost a nuclear bomb in its impact. It's a white explosion in the first Predator as well. It's a pretty particular color. Like kind of solidifying its like non-human, non-Earth. It's an alien technology. Arm computer. So they have advanced things like arm computers. Let me just do this. Wait. Control panel allows Predator to become invisible, bending beams of light. Yeah, there you go. Laser cannon. I think it was called a shoulder-mounted plasma caster in the Alien vs Predator MUD multi-user dungeon, which I used to play in the 90s. That was one of the first online games I ever played. Was the Alien vs Predator, all text-based game. I would often play the alien, like hunting, humans and predators, and attacking the impregnated hosts. You have to actually like eat impregnated hosts to gain levels in that game. Anyways, and they also had spear. But long story short, like, so they do have advanced the Predators do have, this is from Predator 2 also. They do have advanced like technological devices like computers, bombs, self-destruct sequences. But like most of their actual like a lot of hunting weapons in the style of they're wearing like this netting. They have like these dreadlocks, right? The kind of like the style of the metal and the style of their weapons is very like, it's definitely like it's closer to something from the Caribbean, the indigenous Americas, Pacific, or East Asia or somewhere like that than anything particularly European. They don't really have guns. They do have like there's actually like a plasma pistol like weapon, but they usually don't use that, and they don't really have any real gun weapons. Like they don't really have like a just like machine guns and that kind of thing. And but it's also kind of like what they're doing is they're hunting. Well, obviously they have to hunt for food at some point, right? But they're hunting like specific targets, right? Because like a machine gun, or I don't know, like an American, a machine gun, a big machine gun, or like a Tomahawk missile, the kind of bombs they drop on Caracas this last week, right? The kind of bombs the U.S. and the West like to drop, and the kind of weapons they make. Agent Orange. That's not really for taking out a particular target and not hurting women and children, innocent people, and not killing. It's not those kind of weapons, right? Western weapons are not really meant for targeted, specific, one-off, honorable, hunting or anything like that. They're meant for mass death and destruction and total annihilation and colonization and domination and eradication and control and enslavement, which is all part of that. And so, like, I think that's also part of the coding, because the kind of weapons they have is not it's not the kind of weapons that the Western U.S. etc. world is like known for, and it isn't like Predator movies don't like say that directly. Like it's just in the design, right? And I don't know if that's even conscious necessarily. I don't know if that's like a conscious decision, but that's one thing that I've talked about this before. And I think I talked about this in the Prey stream, where I'm talking about Predator, Prey, the 2022 movie, also by Dan Trachtenberg, starring and there's an indigenous actress that stars in that. It's set 300 years. In case you don't know it, do watch Prey as well. It's set 300 years ago. But yeah, anyways, and that was like even more direct because you can see like the indigenous girl that's the main character. Obviously she is also hunting. She wants to hunt, but like for reasons she is not. That part. So some of our indigenous relatives are like they're not super happy about that part because it's not quite historically accurate in certain ways to how the society would have been at that time. But either way, the actual hunting that what she is doing is hunting, and what the predator is doing is hunting, and they're using similar kinds of weapons, right? Even though like he has like more electrical, chemical, and light bending technologies, right? He has like way more advanced in that sense, but the kind of things they're doing is similar. The kind of weapons they have like he has a shield, he has a knife, he has a blade, he has a sword. And also, if a predator encounters another enemy, right? Like if the enemy has a and you see this in I think it's The Predator, or is it Predators? The one with Adrian Brody. It's also in the Killer of Killers. If the predator encounters an enemy that has, for example, like a samurai sword, a katana or something, the predator will take off the plasma caster, not use the other weapons, right, and then take out a sword-like weapon, right, because that's part of their culture. It's rich. It's like ritualistic combat at that point, right, and that's another thing, which is like that's. Like that even happens in the parts of Black Panther, that are not the part where the CIA is made to look good and the U.S. imperialism is totally awesome, like at the end. But in the parts of Black Panther, when they actually have like the ritual combat, like that's another thing that's a big part of the Predator universe, right? That's very not Western, right? In Western culture, right, you go to Gaza, you just eradicate everyone. You always hurt people in the way that's least risky to you, and you hurt innocent people all the time. So colonization is, right? It's killing women and children, starving them to death, right? Killing 1 million buffalo, right, to starve people to death rather than honorably fight directly. Killing the entire ecosystems of Earth, like I talk about on this stream frequently, to try to kill 7.5 billion people with COVID, AI, and a nuclear war blotting out the sun so that you can control whatever remains. Not going out and directly, billionaires don't go out and directly fight. The upper classes and the upper global north they personally don't go out, right? They brainwash right-wingers in their own countries to go out and fight for them, but they don't go out and fight. They just try to get everyone else dead in the most, and innocent people, children, women, billions, millions, doesn't matter. Kill them all, starve them all. Capitalism is just about mass starvation unjustly. It's a obfuscated mass death of innocent people, right? That's what the capitalist system is, right? By brainwashing people into believing that the you don't have a right to housing, food, air, clean water and air, clothing, all your basic needs and healthcare, and people die every year and have been dying. Billions of people have died early or prematurely due to that system. Most of them innocent. When the Ocean's Gate people took a trip to the bottom of the deep ocean in a few years ago, that was an example of capitalism unaliving uninnocent people, the billionaire class that is thieving thieving everything from everyone else. But usually they kill innocent people. Whereas like indigenous, non-capitalist, non-imperialist, non-colonial cultures, like, it's don't hurt women, don't hurt children, don't hurt innocent people. You have to hunt to survive. All creatures need to survive on the life energy of other beings of various kinds. But you don't like just go out and indiscriminately torture like the U.S. and the West does, Europe does. You don't go out and indiscriminately kill to dominate the entire world for power games, right? Playing this global risk game they like to play. European culture is, for a lot of time was kings and queens, the nobility, aristocratic. Which is the same as the capitalist class. They're basically exactly the same. Over 90% of all the rich people on the earth are former feudal lords, mostly from Europe. Feudal aristocratic nobility. So what they were doing was taking their serfs and their peasants to enlist in their armies to go die for their vanities and their power, and they're increasing their title, right? And that's getting innocent people killed, right? Brainwashing, using religion or various micro subdivisions of Christianity as a justification to get hundreds of thousands of millions of people killed. In the Catholic versus Protestant et al. So that's not those deaths are not part of those are not honorable killing. That's not hunting, right? That's not like a lot of how indigenous societies, when they're functional and not colonized and not also messed up by other when they're not failing in various ways. That's not how they operate, right? So, and the weapons, and I think that's something that's subconscious that like actually reflects in Prey. You also see the French, European colonialists, right? It's actually a part of Prey. I'm not talking about Badlands at this moment, but I'll come back to it. I promise. It actually is relevant when I come back to it. The French, Prey. There's a scene where she comes across all these buffalo, right? That the colonizers, they have just like slaughtered. They've left to rot. I don't know if I can find that one. Shoot. And she finds all these corpses, and there's also the French colonialists that are going across and they're capturing and enslaving people. The Europeans enslaved also. Before they had black slaves, they had indigenous slaves. They had Native American slaves doing their work for them. Agriculture before the black slaves. That's often left out of the history books. And the French are capturing and enslaving indigenous people. They're killing all the buffalo just to starve out indigenous people. And there's actually, that's another place where actually like the predator. This is the one thing about the predator. It comes through again in Predator Badlands. The predator's culture and the indigenous cultures, whether the Native Americans, Native people in South America in Predator, the first one with Arnold. There's the African or there's a Afro-Caribbean, Jamaican gangs, and there's also the Hispanic, but they're like brown and black, tribes in the urban jungle, in the concrete jungle of near future in Predator 2 with Danny Glover, right? I went back and watched it in the last 6 months, and it really struck me even more so. The African and the Latin American / and there are some also indigenous elements that like Aztec. I forget. There's all these overlays on it. It's a complex theme, but it's not like it doesn't directly tell you that, right? It's just kind of like in the design, right? It's like all in like the planning, the design. Some of these choices might not even be conscious. A lot of times things, I was talking about this with our friend James yesterday. The white balloons in Prisoner was not a premeditated choice that happened like, years ago in the writing of the Prisoner TV show. It works very well, but you know, but anyways, well, long story short, but it is not just any one choice. There's like a lot of things coming together. It's just really the direction everybody decides to. So in some ways, a lot of this is kind of like It's a manifestation of people's deep psychology, right? And what artists and directors and writers think is going to convey what they want to convey. It's a combination of a lot of things. So anyways. But what we're trying to say there is that when we talk about Predators, let's look at Predator 2, right? I was talking about this on Twitch recently. Like King Willie, right? Like if you look at the Predators dreadlocks, King Willie is the leader of the Afro-Caribbean Jamaican gang that is, you know, being hunted, right? They're in a fight with obviously other gangs and also with the LAPD, which, you know, unfortunately it's hard to escape propaganda in the West and in the Empire, but you know, Danny Glover is like the head of this police force in the near future, where, you know, California is just like overrun with violence, and it's super hot all the time, and climate change is happening. Oh, that's part of it. It's Predator comes to extremely hot. The Yautja come to extremely hot areas, and I forget exactly the reason. It's brought up, and that's part of why it comes to. I think there was a heat wave happening in that time. It was getting really hot, and people worrying about climate change. In is it 1990? I think Predator 2 came out, but you know, the King Willie, right? His dreadlocks, right? With the kind of little metal rings on the locks, right? And then you look at the Predator. Where is he? Oh man, I lost him. There he is, right? And it's like, and obviously the Predator is an alien. Like if you look at his head, right? Or you look at the King Willie's head. They're designed to, you know, have a lot of, even like that's a very close similarity. Even like the style of decor on the dreadlocks, right? Now the white people, white hair, it's not really capable of doing that except with extreme. It's not the best thing to do to your hair, but anyway, and it's not historically, it's culturally. That's you know, it's definitely something that is iconically part of various black cultures and black hairstyles. Anyway. So King Willie is like, I was talking about this on Twitch. Danny Glover meets him, and it's not just King Willie, but all the gang, right? They understand. Like he's talking about the demon. He's out there. You don't see the demon's eyes until you're about to die. But he understands like what he's doing. Like he is out there. He's hunting, right? He is. And he's like, and he's like, when your time comes, if you are chosen, then you will, you know, you will slay the demon, or you won't, right? But you know, you will not choose the time. You will have to simply face him, right? And a King Willie, like, so it's like the gangs like kind of understand the non-white, non-Western, indigenous Jamaicans and the indigenous Latin Americans, like, more understand what is actually happening, right? How the Predators culture work. And Danny Glover, he's also, you know, he's contrasted with the Nick Nolte character, who is Nick Nolte is he is oh shit, is Nick Nolte? It is Nick Nolte, right? Or is it Gary Busey? Am I getting it wrong? Yeah, I'm sorry. It's Gary Busey, not Nick Nolte. Gary Busey's character, who is a United States federal government, U.S. You think he's an FBI agent, but he's actually turns out he's like from a even more secretive U.S. empire operation, which is, and he as a scientist, right, who has been studying these creatures for America, for the U.S. empire since the events of Predator 1, which take place near Venezuela, when the U.S. is kidnapping other people's leaders and calling them all drug dealers. No, it takes place in he's been following and tracking. He has all these images and video footage of the predator, and he's talking about they hunt using heat. They come down in times of places of conflict, right? Like conflict zones the U.S. empire is creating in Central South America. It's and the U.S. military intervention, right? They hunt by heat. They have like this kind of green blood. They are some kind of tribal trophy hunter. They seek large, big game prey. They know that, right? And so Gary Busey is like fully funded. He's got these silverized. He got these like silverized anti-thermal suits. It's kind of like what Silver Spook wears in Terminus Machina, which is because it reflects the electromagnetic radiation alongst the greatest variety of wavelengths. Silver does specifically. Anyway, so he's wearing these suits, and he has this he's been tracking and following the predators in order to do what, right? Right, and that's what makes him very Western and very white and very America and very U.S. federal government, definitely, right? Which is that he is trying to capture the predators to, like Whale and Yutani, to capture, which is also a Western corporate entity, to gain the technology that could be turned into weapons and tools to dominate and to control and to subordinate like everything else that they do, right? For money and power and domination and colonization, etc. So the reason, and he has all the money, right? He has this huge, all these vans. He's got helicopters, right? He can make the police do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, because he's part of the United States empire, the U.S. federal government, right? He's working for some alphabet soup agency. He's got all the billions. He's got all the money he could possibly want, all the backing. He's got Special Agent Mulder and Scully on his flank. No, he's got all these FBI or some kind of special federal agents all around him. He's got all the radar. He's got all the sonar. He's got satellites, right? He's got knives. We've got sonic destroyers. We got missile launchers. We got RPGs. We got nukes. We got knives. We got sharp sticks. It's like the Bill Paxton in Alien speech, right? He's got everything, all the technology, right? Which again, that's what the U.S. and the West have. They have all the money and all the technology that they've accumulated to maintain technological dominance, not because they're better at hunting or killing, but just because they can maximize the amount of death, shock, and awe, and torture, to Gaza-fy everything on the planet that they want to do. That's what they're trying to do now. So Venezuela is about turning the whole planet into open air prison Gaza, where might makes right, just like it did before. It always has for the West. They pretended like they cared about international law post World War II. Now they're going, but they want to go back to 1800, 1700 style, colonialism, right? Just which is just full on European planetary barbarism. U.S. led, total might makes right, law of the jungle, kill, torture, maim, starve anyone, anytime, right? Give them COVID as many times as possible. Force everybody to use AI. AI is inside of your MS Paint. AI is inside your laundry basket. AI is in your banana, which causes brain damage and also is literal cyber narcotics. Made a whole video about that. AI is like a technology that's used by the West and the capitalist structure that is, currently a central part of that system to harm and kill innocent people. Right? What does AI do? Undresses children. Used to undress women and children. Notably causes AI psychosis, which is causing death, injury, mental health problems, killings, suicides. That's fine, right? Innocent people are being harmed. The West doesn't care. That's Western culture, right? That's not indigenous culture. But that is American culture. That's European culture. That's capitalist culture. That's colonial culture, right? No one is safe. Like the predator again. The predator wouldn't. The Yautja would not use AI, right? The Yautja would not use AI because AI harms children, right? They would not use Gen AI because it harms children. They would not prefer that, right? The Yautja would mask up. They're always masking. right? The predators would mask up because COVID harms everyone and has killed 30 million plus people and disabled billions, basically. Right, and only now is the WHO and NYC talking about the U.S. and now the West are talking about maybe we need to. There's a Guardian article talking about we need masks and we need high quality N95 masks. Right, and now I see a bunch of liberals sharing mask selfies now. We've been masking this entire time and watch every single. Anyway, I'm not going to go off on that in this one, but the Yautja would mask and they would use N95s. They have. Yautja have like P100 plus grade. Look at that mask. That mask could filter out like less than 1/1000th of a micron. This mask could filter out freaking fermions. This is like a quark filtering mask. It can filter out microscopic particles that are so small. It's like even the cosmic strings that are within particles. Cannot even poke their little stringy tips into that thing. That's how good that mask is. No COVID is getting in that mask. Anyways, PSA, mask up. Don't get sick. Be careful in indoor spaces. Everyone's getting sick and dying some more, unfortunately, as always. But anyways, but they would mask up because COVID harms children, right? It causes developmental damage to the gray matter. New studies just came out that the gray matter and the brain tissue of children whose mothers had it when they were young is like way decreased. They have all kind of developmental problems, neurological problems. So predators would mask up because you don't harm children. Right. When the predator sees the pregnant woman, I know this is a weird point to make, but I mean that's actually very important to why what the predator is actually. I'm not going to say what it's actually about. I'm saying what I am like. If you read it, that's part of what it's about ultimately, right? Even if maybe not every director and every writer meant to say that. And maybe it's just subconsciously it's just kind of flowing out because that is human history. I think that's partially what it is. But I mean, right? Let's see if we get the predator. There's a scene in Predator 1. There is a girl that's a native girl that's being enlisted, kind of being forcefully dragged along by the team, right? No, that's Alien. What the hell? Yeah. No, there's a scene where the predator sees a woman, right? And inside it can see, right, in infrared, so it can see that there's a like a fetus inside. And the predator like pointedly doesn't harm her, doesn't harm the children. And then there's that where's the one with the girl? Predator 1. Yeah. I'm not gonna be able to find that scene. But anyway, long story short, that's one of the scenes. When they encounter, it's not necessarily a woman, because if the woman is a combatant, like for example in Predators, there is like I think it's like ex-IDF sniper, or it's a U.S. or U.S. allied military special forces sniper, right? The Predator kills her, I'm pretty sure. Either she survives, but it does because she is all herself a killer, right? She is a hunter herself. But like if it's a civilian, or it's a child, or it's definitely if it's a pregnant woman. If it's a woman caring for children, then absolutely not. The Predator does the Yautja culture is that's absolutely no, right? So which is obviously, I mean, there's so many examples of this, right? Whereas when the U.S. dropped Agent Orange, right? Our comrade Luna Oi just put out a video about this yesterday. Our Vietnamese comrade who also worked with us on Decolonators, an indigenous Hawaiian and Vietnamese collaboration. And Luna just put out a video called Agent Orange, a war crime, the U.S.'s biggest war crime. And not this guy. A war crime without end in Vietnam. That's still an ongoing problem for them. And and so this, and when the U.S. dropped Agent Orange, that has killed so many millions of people. It's destroyed ecosystems. Children, pregnant women who have all birth defects and give birth to jellyfish babies and all these horrible things because of the Agent Orange. Decades later, they're still having these problems. People with Luna has like family members that have mental health and all kind of physical problems. That's still an ongoing problem just from the Agent Orange. But there's other things. There's all kind of other toxification, the bombing itself, the psychological trauma and everything else that U.S. did to Vietnam and to many regions, obviously, around the world, and certainly in East Asia, along with Korea, where it bombed every single inch of that territory, and then it bombed it again when they ran out of bombs. So Agent Orange hurts, women and children, and it causes mass indiscriminate death and destruction over centuries, potentially. Right? So that's why the predators don't use that weapon, but the West uses that weapon. Right? COVID is not COVID is a weapon against the masses. That's why I made a video called Control Thinning. Right? It's a mass silent T-virus that can kill off vast quantities of population you don't want around because you want to keep capitalism and imperialism and systems of domination and control and hierarchy going. And if you kill off billions of people, right, and prevent them from making any systemic change by mass disabling them and making them too neurologically damaged to be conscious of anything, let alone class conscious or anti-imperial or anti-capitalist conscious, right? So COVID is not a Yautja weapon. It's a weapon. It's a bioweapon like smallpox, which indigenous people were given blankets of. That's a colonizer weapon, right? COVID is a colonizer weapon. Gen AI is a colonizer weapon. Agent Orange is a colonizer weapon. Carpet bombing is a colonizer weapon. It's a Weyland-Yutani weapon, right? It's a Weyland-Yutani weapon, which is a colonizer, right? Weyland-Yutani, the original ship was called the Nostromo. You want to know, people should go back and read the actual book Nostromo by Joseph Conrad, which is pointedly brought up many of the crimes and horrors of colonialism, right? Which is also why Apocalypse Now, which is also based upon another Joseph Conrad novel, Heart of Darkness, but this time speaking of colonialism in the Congo, in Africa, right? And so, and it also deals with the jungle as well, right? That's part of. I mean, that's a big, like that, like Ridley Scott and the team, the writer. I don't know who made exactly that decision, but in the Alien versus Predator universe, there was a decision to call the ship, right? Right. Not use Western Western cyber weapons like AI. The Nostromo, right? The Nostromo is called Nostromo because of at least some people in that team wanted to make a direct reference to this book that criticized the Western colonial structure. It's not necessarily like a revolutionary communist, anti-imperialist black, manifesto, but like Nostromo itself or Alien, the film, right? But it is a spacecraft on a return trip from Thetis to Earth with the crew Captain Dallas, with Executive Officer Kane, Navigator Lambert, Warrant Officer Ellen Ripley, on the surface of LV-426, and like that. So that's the parallels are obviously that's supposed to be something that somebody intended people to draw, because you could have named it anything. Nostromo is also a book, that deals with a ship, right? It deals with ships, very valuable cargo. In the case of Alien, I think I'm sure I made this point before. It's part of why the main character in Neofeud 2 is Nostromo as well, because Nostromo is Italian for our man, right? And it's our man, right? Our agent of colonialism, of empire, right? In the colonies, right? That's what Nostromo refers to, but it's a ship. In the book, it's a ship that has a huge amount of silver, right? There's somewhere this silver has been lost, I think it's at the bottom of the sea, or they're trying to find it. Like treasure hunting. Treasure hunting is when colonizers lose all their stolen, enslaved indigenous people and African, all the gold that Columbus was pouring boiling soap down the throats of native people to get. Like the Spanish that threw native people and tortured them and then pushed them into the silver mines to get the silver, right? To maintain this global trade and try to imperialize and plunder China later on with the Opium War. But, so treasure chests, pirates are basically colonizers, right? That's like the U.S. military in Venezuela or in the Middle East, right? A lot of the actual pirating is, and the treasure chest is all the loot that gets, when there's a kind of scuffle on the ship after you've stolen, based upon colonialism and slavery, all this indigenous resources, right? Congolese, whether that's, various minerals in the Congo now, whether that's gold in Burkina Faso, whether that's uranium in Niger. That's why Africa in AES is resisting successfully and good for them. Because the gold in those ships is coming from Africa, Asia, Latin America, back to colonizers' imperial metropoles, New York, London, Paris, et al., Brussels. Nowadays, a lot of it comes to Brussels and then goes to DC and then, but anyway, long story short. But Nostromo is actually about the fighting over the ill-gotten gains, the blood, the thievery, and the mass death and destruction that causes into scramble for global imperial capitalist power. Anyway, so why did I bring that up? Because actually that is like that's always surrounding Predator, right? Even if that's not like I'm talking about that right now specifically, but like that's always around the Predator movies. It's just like infused into the backdrop. You know what I mean? Whether that's in the jungles of South America in Predator 1, whether that's in the concrete jungles, right? But still with black and brown, peoples, and then a colonizing force coming from DC. Because it was a colonizing force coming from DC in Predator 1 too. That's who sent Arnold and his A-team, right? Who is sending the colonizing force into Venezuela to steal all their oil and try to control all of Central and South America right now as we speak? Not Donald Trump. He's just the face of that entity that had Barack Obama, liberals and conservatives, Democrats and Republicans have all been setting the groundwork for, working on, and trying to instill. It's not just one person. That's another important point we need to make at the same time. But it's actually the same force, right? That's Predator 1 and the Predator 2. And then in the Predator, there's many others ones, but in Predator Prey, it's the 1700s, and the French colonizers, right? Several hundred years before the events of Predator 1, is French colonizers coming over, slaughtering all the buffalo, and then the Predator comes from space, but has similar tribal culture to, indigenous culture to the native people, the Native Americans there. Now they end up fighting each other, right? But that's all. It's like this huge colonial destruction and death is happening, and then there's just people from various planets and places and times and continents are all like, they have differences, and they get into have problems with each other, because obviously Danny Glover is trying to seek revenge for one of his people that gets killed. And that's something, but there's always this greater context in which it's happening, right? Which is all part of the colonial system, which is partially because the U.S. was trying to colonize Vietnam, right, and remove communism, and remove that from Vietnam. That's why was the U.S. in Vietnam, killing millions of people there, slaughtering innocent women and children, right, burning napalm with napalm entire forests, setting all these preschools on fire. Why has the U.S. and the West been murdering everyone in the Middle East and starving everyone to death? Still starving everyone to death, right? They used to kill buffalo, used to kill 1 million buffalo. Now you just cut off the food supplies to the entire region in the Levant, wherever you feel like it, starve them to death, with sanctions, with etc. So but yeah. So anyway, so jumping back to the present though, or jumping back not to the present, but when you definitely in like Predators with Adrian Brody one. In that one, that was a little different because that's actually like a hunting preserve, right? They're brought to another planet where predators. I think it's called. I think I'm getting that right. Or Predators. Yeah. Now it's kind of it's actually this one's almost like this one harkens the closest back to Predator 1 in the form of what is occurring because they're in a jungle again, like Predator 1. But it's not Earth. They're like on another. It's like a jungle planet. But all of these people and like none of these everyone in it, right? They're none of them are particularly good people. There's U.S. military. There's like multiple U.S. military. The U.S. military. There might be like I think one of them might be IDF military, if I'm not mistaken, which is basically U.S. military. There is Danny Trejo is like a callback to the Latin gang in Predator 2. Then there has Topher Grace is like this creepy serial killer, like he looks like just like a nerdy white guy doctor, and like why is he here? Right? Oh, I don't know. I was just a medic. I'm just a nice guy. I'm just a doctor, but he's actually a serial killer. Right? You don't find that out till way later. I'm sorry if you wanted to watch that, but then there's like somebody who was in Chechnya. There's like a Chechnyan heavy gunner. He's kind of like the guy holding the giant Jesse Ventura Gatling gun. And then there's a Yakuza member, so he's like a Japanese gangster. But they're all fighters, soldiers of some kind. Most of them are not like the best people. They're not. They're like most of them are. They're not the nicest people. They're definitely like however whatever their quote unquote morality. They're definitely all trained killers. So they're not. They are. That's another example of how like the Predator culture is at least consistent with that, right? Like, they don't bring women and children to this non-Earth planet for their jungle hunting ground, right? They don't bring women, they don't bring children, they don't bring non-fighters, don't bring random civilians, right? You think it's weird because that's one thing that gives it away, right? Topher Grace's character in the Predator or in Predators, you might think like, you might be like, oh. He's just like a nerdy little guy. He's just a nerdy white guy. What he would not have hurt a fly, right? I think he says he's a doctor or something, right? And you're like, why is he here, right? You got all these people with all these like everybody comes with their guns, right? They're like brought with their weapon. They have like sniper rifles. One guy has a huge like a gigantic machine gun. One guy has like two like dual AK-47s or something. The Yakuza guy has his his pistol and he's got his katana. He's in like his Frank Sinatra suit and everything. You got there's all these people that are all brought, and then you're like, why is this guy here, right? But then you find out he is a killer. He's just he kills in a more Caucasian way than everyone else, just silently slitting people's throats when they're not looking and going after innocent women. It's very Western in that sense. And so yeah, and so but so that's another. That's where actually it's still there, right? Which is like we don't kill innocent people, right? We're not just killing for any reason whatsoever. We have very specific code, and you people that you brought here, you all sign up to die, right? Most of them have been fighting for the U.S. actually most of them are fighting for the U.S. or some kind of U.S. or Western colonizer imperial, because the U.S. military is just like a gangster arm for global oligarchy, right? They just secure oil and they secure minerals and they secure resources, killing innocent people, terrorizing populations, right, and occupying countries and stealing everything, just like they're trying to do in Venezuela. Right, just like they were trying to do in Vietnam. So if you're in the U.S. military base, like you really don't, it's like you should not have ever signed up for that thing. I'm sorry if you were brainwashed, but any Western military, U.S., EU, U.K., NATO, whatever U.S. coalition they decided to be AUKUS, you sign up for any of those, you're on the side of genocide, you're on the side of murder, you're on the side of child killing, you're on the side of torture, slavery, death and destruction and annihilation of everything that's good on this earth. you're on the side of climate change because the U.S. military is the number one consumer of fossil fuel, and it backs a global fossil fuel-based imperial system, which it will never be renewable because renewables would decentralize the global energy and supply chain flows and resource flows, and it would invalidate Mackinder chokehold global CIA designs in the grand chessboard. Anyways, so which is a book you can read that the CIA gave away on CIA.gov. Anyways, so but long story short, so everybody that the Predator kills, right? Is it even Danny Glover, he's upset, but his team is also they're all armed, right? They're all in the fight. They're all fighters themselves. Actually, give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. I gotta take a short break. I gotta get something out of my throat. I'll be right back. And before I come back, watch this short trailer on a game I made about fighting colonizers in jungles.
1865, the U.S. invades Vietnam to prevent the spread of communism. The Americans bombed them into the Stone Age. Hundreds of thousands died. But the Vietnamese fight back with all their might.
Time to kick some capitalist colonizer butts. I'll be back with my tank. Ouch! Cheese butter scratch.
Your little commie village is about to be burned down.
You Western clowns are being.
There is no alternative to capitalism. Resistance is futile.
I've got your alternative right here, Your Majesty. We kick your money-grubbing colonizer butts out and build socialism.
Two men enter. No one leaves capitalism.
You made a big mistake coming to Vietnam, you spoil rich royal.
Starring Luna Oi, with Ophidian the Cobra and Kate Nix. The Decolonators.
Okay. Anyways, Decolonators. Because I did bring up Luna Oi, and Luna Oi did work with me on that game. Luna is a Vietnamese communist and survivor of U.S. Imperialism and genocidal war. Just as Venezuela is trying to survive themselves, U.S. colonialism, and you can check out Luna's channel on at Luna Oi. Yeah. So, anyways, okay, let's get back to the topic though. So I've been not talking about Predator Badlands for a whole while, but I mean I'm trying to set that all up because that is the context of Predator Badlands as well, in which the predators, the Yautja, which you learn more about. The main character is Deck. Deck is a quote unquote runt predator, I believe is what they're calling him. He's smaller. He is, what's weird? I've seen descriptions of the actor as the actor. What is his name? I had it up here. Okay, it is Elle Fanning is the synthetic, Weyland Yutani android, and Demetrius Schuster Koloa Matangi is the predator. He was described as being like 7'3". When you look at his height, like even non-AI searches says he's 7'3". He is not 7'3". Like it's like like this is also why AI not even once. And I don't know. Google is also all screwed up right now. 7'3". I mean, the guy is notably smaller than every other predator, I believe, that has ever been on screen. Anyway, that's an aside. Like, look at this. Okay, like Elle Fanning is not super tall, right? And he's on the right. It's not. I know the picture's a little bit blurry. Elle Fanning is I think she's like 5'9". She's actually relatively tall. She's relatively tall for a girl, but okay, I better close that. This looks like it's gonna eat up all of my RAM, so I'm gonna shut you down. Yeah, she is not like super tall. I mean, she is a little bit tall. He's actually unusually short for a Samoan guy. I think he's like Samoan and Tongan, if I'm not mistaken. I think he lives in Aotearoa or New Zealand, but he's like not like you can see in this picture, right? He is like maybe an inch or two taller than Elle Fanning. I'm not sure who is in the Predator. Mass, that's the dad, that's the father of Deck, the main character. But anyway, long story. This is just like a weird like why are they claiming he's 7'3"? The original Predator actor was like 7'2". Like he was actually extremely unusually tall. The actor in Predator Prey was like 6'8". He was also some kind of basketball player or former sports ball player who's extremely tall for sports reasons. Actually, Dan Trachtenberg said he chose to use Demetrius because he is there's a Reddit thread where people are asking like, why did they choose a small guy? I'm a little worried. I don't want a tiny predator. The predator needs to be huge relative to all the people, something, because historically that's what it was. And with Dan Trachtenberg, somebody shared that he mentioned one reason why Dan Trachtenberg chose Demetrius is because it was a really good opportunity, right, to kind of expand the universe, because there's a lot of really tall predators. Right, there's a lot of them. You have every single one has been really big. The original one being like way huge, right, 7'2". And so like so that's where Predator Badlands expands the universe. So it's like to show that there are some it's part of the story is like because he is weirdly small, right, for a predator, then it changes. That's part of his character and his story because of his positionality within Yautja culture or within his context, right? I mean, also in The Predator, I think that's the 2018 one. You see this giant. There's like a huge one, right? Let me just find that. The Predator. Make sure I'm not getting that wrong. In the 2018 one, right? There's like a huge giant predator that's like 15. It's like 15 feet tall, right? Like this predator is so big. Like this predator, one of his legs is the size of a whole guy, right? And so these giant predators, I forget their what exactly they're called or their name. I think it's revealed that there are these very different. The Yautja people can have like very different sizes of members of their species, right? Because I don't think they're a separate race. They're just like some of them are just very, very big. I think some people have brought up it might be kind of like how like ants, like queen ants or queen bees, right, can be a very different size, like often a lot bigger than the male of the species. I think that was brought up. Like in Aliens, right? The alien queen is like several times bigger than the boy aliens, right? And so the I'm not sure what the gender of this predator is, but that's just one possible element. I don't know all the lore that well. I don't know it all that well to be able to tell you exactly what the reality is for that. But my point is that like you see a really big predator. So in Predator Badlands you see a really small predator, right? So it's not the same thing over and over again. It would just be it can get kind of rote and boring to just keep doing the same story. There has to be something new, right, for people to find interest in and to tell a different story. Otherwise, what's the point of you making a movie? Or unless you just make AI slop and you are a slop slinging micro slopocalypse bringer, right? Unless you're micro slop, your co-pilot, your right. K-pop Demon Hunters. That's a big franchise now. Just a little aside. They've said they will never use AI, no matter how good Gen AI gets. So another big L for AI, which it deserves. Giant multi-trillion-dollar scam. Anyway, Predator Badlands explores a younger predator, a smaller predator who has he's also young, right? He's like he is also actually an Alien versus Predator, which is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, the Resident Evil guy. There is also a young predator that's trying to prove himself, right, to become part of to prove himself to his tribe, right? He has to go on his coming of age hunt, right, on Earth in that case, in the Antarctic, in the film Alien versus Predator. And so this character is a little similar to that one, where he is trying to prove himself. Deck is trying to prove himself. He has to hunt. Well, as a smaller predator, right? Part of this story is his older brother is like it starts off with him and his older brother, in some kind of like really big underground cave. There's like treacherous ledges. It kind of looks like where Johnny Cage and Scorpion fight. I don't know where that is or how they film all that, but it's like somewhere in the underground cave system with like ledges, but there's like all these perilous drops, like brittle bridges, and I'm not sure where it is. It's somewhere on their home planet, I think. And they're like in some kind of like training battle duel where they're fighting each other, in this system. Jumping. There is a lot of like big CG fight bits in this movie, a little bit more than others. I wouldn't call it like Disney kids movie. I would not call it. Some people have said it's Predator Badlands is turning Predator into like some kind of like Disney, it's like Lego movie or something. It's like or like a Spider-Man movie. It has there's a lot of people. There's a bunch of scenes where it's not really possible to do that, but there are a lot of stunts as well. There's scenes where people are like jumping around, their predators are cutting entire trees down with laser machetes, whatever the weapon is called. There's lots of CG creatures and such, but there's a whole lot of actual fight scenes. There's a lot of actual live action that's also interspersed with that, and then there's also a lot of scenes where the characters are really fucked up. I mean, like they're really messed up. But like there is no red human blood, but that's because there's no humans. Like that's one interesting thing about Predator Badlands. There are actually 0 humans in this whole movie. It's Yautja, other species throughout the galaxy, and then there are Weyland-Yutani synthetics. So there are like Elle Fanning plays like she's humanoid, Right? She looks like she looks like a girl, but like a human woman, but she is not. Right? She there's actually two. I think there's two of her. There's Thea, synthetic one, and her quote unquote. But she's not. She's her her. They later call her sister at one point. Right? She ends up thinking about it that way. But I think she is part of the pair, like her, and there's an identical one of her that was manufactured by Weyland Yutani. She is a scientist, and her what is it called? Her co-creation, or her partner is what is it? Shit, what is her name? Is it not Tess? Dia and yeah, it is Tess. Why did I say not? Yeah, so it's Elle Fanning plays both these two synthetics, Thea and Tess. They basically look the same. The only difference is that Tess gets really badly damaged, and her eye, one of her eyes is like all whited or damaged. It's still damaged even later. But they're both played by Elle Fanning, and so but one of them is a scientist, right, Thea, and one of them is the commander of like the military forces of Weyland Yutani. In this, it's a colonial adventure as well. It's a colonial venture. It's a venture capitalist colonial adventure. Adventures of Weyland Yutani. Building better worlds. So anyways, so when they get to this planet, like or actually let me rewind. I'll come back to that later. What I was trying to say was that like as you can see on the left, like there's she's way more damaged. Also, she gets slashed up. You can see like all bits of her skin and face is all ripped into pieces. Thea spends like half of the movie like basically experiencing a Mortal Kombat fatality. Like she gets the bishop ripped in half treatment for like the whole movie. Like she is like dismembered. Like there's no like red blood. Was it Predator? Why was that so hard to find? But yeah, no, she spends like 90% of the movie as a dismembered, severed torso. Right? Now, like some of it's kind of played out for comedy stuff, but I mean, she is like her spine is hanging out. You know, this is like a Scorpion or Sub-Zero fatality, just like in the screen, like all movie long. So anybody was like, oh, because my point is that like it's not really like they made it sterilized just for kids or something. Like there's like lots and lots of like dismemberment. Like there's this one guy gets his head ripped off like 50 times. He gets his head chopped off, his arms ripped off, his legs, his torso slit in half. People get stabbed through the head, impaled every which way, burned, incinerated, melted, acidified, ripped up. Like people they're not humans, but they're all like, they definitely look like humans, right? And there's not like blood everywhere, but it is like actually I think there actually might be more total. I mean, technically, there's more total violence and gore than possibly any other Predator movie at this point. In like the total screen time of it, like there's like it's a kind of almost nonstop dismemberment fest for about half of the movie. It just keeps going, like it just doesn't stop. It's really bad. As part of this, the land is bad. Like this land is rough. Like when Jack gets to the planet. Like before he like enters the atmosphere, right? He's coming in like his spacecraft is heating up and glowing red from the friction of the air molecules against his ship as he enters from the exosphere. Once he enters the planet's atmosphere, some organism, some big pterodactyl like thing like tries to eat him while he's in the sky, just entering the atmosphere, right? So it's kind of making the point that like this planet is bad. Like this planet is very, very. There's a lot and lot of violence on this planet. There's a lot of creatures that will kill you in so many ways, right? It's kind of like, which is a new setting, right? Because we've seen like Earth predators in the jungle of South America, right? Predator in 1, predators in the urban setting in 2, predator on a whole other planet, right? In Predators, predators in Antarctica, in the ancient, right, 5,000-year-old quasi-Egyptian temples that they built. Of course, they did. In like a ritualistic kind of more like a. It's a very Paul S. Anderson. Paul S. Anderson is like these like ancient temple looking. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons sort of archaeological dig sort of scenes. Anyways, also in Monster Hunter. Anyway, and then there's predators in Earth in the suburban area in the worst Predator movie, which is Alien vs Predator Requiem. People will disagree, but then you see predators in again in suburbia with more U.S. military characteristics in the Predator, and then anyway, Prey is in the 1700s, right? 1700s, colonial, European colonizers arriving in Native Americans' land, sort of time period, and now you have predators, but now it's an alien planet like in the 2014 Adrian Brody movie, but it's like super ultra violent. Like it's not just like a hunting preserve, because there are some alien creatures that will attack you there, right? In the 2014 in Predators, but in this one, it's like this is like one of the most violent, most dangerous planets, and it has like the hardest. It's kind of implied like the organism that Deck is hunting in Predator Badlands is like it's the talus, right? I think it's called the callus. Damn it, I can't remember all these words. I know what they are, just I can't remember all their exact spellings. Anyways, so Deck is hunting the callus, but the callus which is like a species that no Yautja has ever successfully hunted and brought back as a trophy. They have all died trying. Right? And the predators, obviously, they're very skilled, very powerful, very advanced hunters. And none of them has survived to tell the tale, let alone bring back the polished skull of the callus, right? And so, so anyway, I haven't even got to the part. But Dex, that's what the setting is actually. I feel like it's weirdly, like Predator Badlands, despite it having no actual human blood, it's actually probably one of the most it's one of the most violent actually of the Predators, I would say, in total. And so then the callus is on this planet that he arrives on. He's sent there because of his father, who wants him to Ryan. The brother and him are training, and the brother is obviously the brother. It kind of shows like it's an intro scene that like gives you the sense of the Predators, what they're about. They're they are trained at doing violence and at fighting. They're all trained in that sense. That's definitely part of their culture. But like the older brother, right? Quay, I think is his name, does like he does like care about his younger brother, but he wants his younger brother to do well, right, and to be brought into the culture, but also the brother's father, right? The father is like the head of their clan. He has the white dreadlocks. The brother's father is like, he's a very toxic masculine sort of character. He's very Jordan Petersonian. He's very like he's very like he basically, his ideology is his way of seeing the world is, if you are weak, you should be killed. You should be culled from the herd, because we have to get rid of all weakness. And so to the point where the father wants, because this is where the relative smallness of Deck compared to previous Predators is important to the story. right? One other thing Dan Trachtenberg said was that like because the smaller predator is unusual, but having always the predator be this large, very large actors, right? The 7'2" original predator, I think the 6'8" predator from Predator Prey. It means that these people are often just like sports stars or people that like have large bodies that are known for that, and that's useful in sports and in certain contexts, but they're usually not stunt actors, right? I don't think the first Predator actor in the original one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, he wasn't a stunt actor, and neither was the most recent one, right? He was like a former basketball player or a former athlete of some kind, but not specifically a stunt actor, right? And so Dan Trachtenberg said, like, actually, he's like, I kind of you always really want, as a director, I want somebody who is like going to be able to do really great and intense and really good looking stunts, because it's hard to do stunts well. It's not, and get it done right and not be, screw it up and hurt yourself, hurt others, and to have a good stunt actor, it takes a lot of training, right? Specific kind of training and abilities. And so he says, like, people that get into stunt acting, they're not all 7 feet, right, or 6'10", and it's basically almost never happens. So he said, Dan Trachtenberg said that when he was casting, he's like, oh, well, if I had the Predator be smaller, and that could be also part of the story, then I can have like a really great stunt actor be the Predator, and that will make it just be well, it will be. So he said like that was some reason why he cast the Dimitrios in the role, because he wasn't so. I forget if he designed the story that way or if it was a retroactive. Oh, now that we have a smaller actor, we're gonna write the story so that he is the Predator. The Predator has a characteristic of being small because of the actor. I can't remember which way it is, but either way, it was like so because we have this smaller actor, you can do a lot more stunts, and there is, like I said, like there's a whole ton of fighting. There's like there's so much. If you want action, the Predator Badlands has a whole shit ton of it. There's a good solid hour that's like nonstop running, fighting, slicing, shooting, killing, getting caught, almost being smashed by trees. Like everything kills you. There's like giant trees that have like insects coming out of them that have giant teeth that kind of smash things. Like it's really like a it's like a Mortal Kombat Galapagos. This Badlands, you know what I'm saying? It's like everything is evolving very quickly, because if you didn't evolve, then you dead. Like there's tiny little things. One of the things like it's almost like Sonic the Hedgehog. Little. It's like what is that thing called? Bud. Predator Badlands does do a little more comedy. It's got a lot more like zingers, and it's a bit more chatty. It's a bit more chatty. It's a little bit not Marvel comic books, but it's a little bit comic booky in that sense. Like there's a lot more back end once Thea shows up. Once Elle Fanning's character shows up, not so much. Deck a little bit less. Actually, Deck and his brother do talk a lot. It's a bit more chatty than other Predators. There's a lot more script and then zingers going back and forth. But then there's this little funny little it does do some like cute little kawaii characters. It's like this little chibi. It almost looks like it's like a Smeagol. It's like a Smeagol crossed with like a cat or a seal. Like the face is like a seal. The body shape is kind of like to me it looks like a little golem. You know what I mean? And there is more comedy. Like there's that line like, we'll find your sister and legs, because she's like missing her legs the whole time. Even he does some jokes. So I think and so that, in that sense, it's a little more tongue in cheek in some of it. Not all of it, but it's a little bit more the tone is a little different from some of the other Predators in that sense. It has some little cute characters that do funny things. Like there's one scene where the Deck is like taking out his sword. He's like making a bed with rocks, and then the little funny little cute little sidekick alien creature that can also like turn into a ball, like curls up into a fetal ball, and then rolls around like Sonic the Hedgehog at like 60 miles an hour, right? And like, but it's also when it's rolled up into a ball, it becomes super hard. Like it like smashes through razor grass, which is the thing, it's like grass made out of 6-inch razor sharp shards of glass. Imagine just like fields of glass everywhere, and you just like you go in there, you'll be bleeding out within the first 20 feet. So everything on that planet kills you, right? Those are just a handful of countless examples in this place. It's really a bad land. Like the title of the movie is really accurate. And so there's trees with there's sentient rooted banyan trees that like once you enter the forest, have you ever seen the banyan trees like have those roots that descend from the branches, right? Like we have one right around here. Oh my god, it was so horrible if it was a predator Badlands banyan tree. Oh my god. But then the roots that come down, right, they like seek out and like grab and like rip apart anything around it. So like once you anything that is not ultra like OP'd, anything that doesn't have like 9 strength, 9 intelligence, like 9 you have to have at least max stats in strength, endurance, and luck. You need at least 9 luck to survive on Predator Badlands planet, right? Or you need like it's in Fallout RPG stats, you need at least like a 9 endurance. This character has 9 endurance, right? He has like he can like turn into a ball that is unbreakable by anything known, right? It's like there's like a giant monster with like 6-inch long teeth, or like actually more like 3-foot long teeth. I forget which one it is. It's like a tree, a giant piranha plant, like a 50-foot wide piranha plant that comes out of a tree, and with these giant teeth tries to bite this guy. But because he has 10 endurance, right, when he turns into a ball, the teeth smash into pieces, right? So that's his special. But if you don't have like some super ultra abilities, you're gonna die on this planet. The predators are like extremely strong, but they all died trying to hunt the Callus too. And then the synthetics are also not human. They're like also designed for extreme exoplanet circumstances, which humans would often die in, right? That's why Weyland-Yutani uses this. It's an all synthetic, right? Elle Fanning's character is part of an all synthetic mission, right? Because humans would absolutely die. Once they get to that planet, before they even enter the atmosphere, they'll be eaten by the killer alien pterodactyl thing, right? Humans would all be dead so fast. Anyway, so it's like you look on YouTube, you have to put like made for kids, right? Like this like the Predator Badlands planet is like planet not made for humans. Like humans like do not enter. No humans allowed. I mean that's also why there's no human blood. Because there's real good story reasons why they ain't there. Anyway. Okay. Anyways, so you have this cute little animal guy, and and so there's lots of fighting, and so the father wants his children that are weak to die. That's the toxic patriarchy of that relationship, and that part of the Predator. The main characters, and that's why I brought up the different ways of raising wolves, because the wolf metaphor becomes important. It's a kind of anti Jordan Peterson, anti Alpha Sigma, kind of toxic patriarchal BS sort of movie. Elle Fanning's character at one point goes on because Deck's father, right, is very like fascistic in that way, right? He's very like toxic patriarchal, where like anyone that shows any weakness or whatever has to be killed. You have to go and hunt, and you all have to go and kill the biggest thing. If you don't kill and hunt the biggest Callus, whatever it is, you're all dead to me. He's a very like loveless sort of guy. He's kind of a really nasty character, which also shows that the Predator culture is also showed not to be a monolith, which has different kinds of members of the Yautja species have different they disagree, right? They're not all agree about what is right and what to do. So that's another expansion of the Predator world, where, as I said previously, right, the previous Predators are all very, the Predator is left pretty mysterious, right? They're pretty opaque. Like, you can't see into their world very much, how their world works. I mean, outside, you know some things about their hunting culture, you know some things about their, like the kind of tribal, their honor, right? Their code, their morality, their the way that they do their killing is not, it has a very strict set of rules, right? Like I mentioned earlier, but like you can't really see into like the different factions and parts of the Predator world. I mean, there's a little bit of that in the 2018 The Predator. You get that there are some Predators that are, I guess in that one you have a little bit of some Predators are fighting the other ones. You get a little bit of that, but it doesn't go too deep, I think. In this one, it's like the one of the because you have actual familial relationships that are played out, right, on screen, and you see the father, right, you see the brother, right, in various parts of the movie. They're like, they're actually, Predator Badlands is very tight. It's very like small cast, right? There's basically Deck, the main runt, smaller Predator, trying to prove himself to his father, who thinks he's weak and deserves to die. There's Thea / Tessa, that's played by one person, right? Elle Fanning. I think actually and then there's there's one synthetic guy who is apparently a stuntman who's been in so many things. He's been in like so many movies and shows. And can't remember what his name is, but something Cameron, I think David something. Not David Cameron, not British politician. But there's a human male synthetic, or human, like they don't really technically have gender, I suppose, but there's a human male synthetic, human male looking synthetic. There's Tessa / Thea, that's played by Elle Fanning, the female synthetic. And then there's Deck, his father, and his brother. Right? There's basically 5 characters, and there's only 3. There's 2 human faces you ever see on screen. That's Thea and the male Weyland-Yutani synthetic. And then technically the main character, right, the Deck, is seen. It's also the first time that a Predator is the main character in that way. And like Deck, you see his face through the makeup. You do get to actually, the way they design the Predator is very that's a new thing where you can like actually see a lot more. He's mostly unmasked, and he isn't quite as terrifying as other Predators, right? And that makes you feel that, he's not necessarily like the cute Predator, but like you don't. He's not quite if you compare him to, the original Predator, the 7'2" one. They have they're a lot more like creepy, off-putting, and also very threatening because they're gigantic, right? Not that, I mean, Deck obviously is capable. He's not threatening, but let's try and get like a picture of this. The other Predators, I mean, they look a lot more like a creepy crab. Jungle Hunter, Wolf, Fugitive. Oh yeah, his hairline is also different. Yeah, he's a lot younger, right? So the Jungle Hunter has like a really big and they have like a big wide like you can almost see like their exposed crab / brain / I don't know what that is. They have those mandibles, right? They all have the mandibles of different sizes. But the Predator Badlands one, right? It definitely looks a little more human, a little less. It has the mandibles, right? Which always gonna look a little bit off-putting. The design is the design is less kind of just monstrous and more kind of like, this is an alien. Look, almost like, it's not almost like a Star Trek or Star Wars, like sentient alien species, you know, not quite a Klingon, right? But it's definitely like less monstrous than the previous Predators. And I think that's like because the main Predator is going to be a main character, and you have to kind of like, you don't have to like necessarily love him, but he's like more of a sympathetic character, right? Definitely a sympathetic character throughout he does have his own like problems, right? But he's meant to, but you actually get more into the head of the Predator a lot more so, and you get like in a positive way than you ever have before. Maybe the closest, maybe in Alien versus Predator, in that, again, that 2000s movie, right? Alien versus Predator. In that one, the humans and the Predators team up together. So you can get a picture of that one. Where you have there's the black woman who is also like an expert like Arctic and mountainous terrain guide. Like she's like expert in like hiking, and she's like a guide in those extreme conditions, right? And she's also final girl along with the Predator. Predator is technically the Predator is also the final girl in this, but then unfortunately Predator girl loses final girl status when the alien queen impales him on the giant serrated tail. So that's unfortunate for him. And then he vomits up a bunch of blood and dies. But long story short, so this like Predator Badlands is the first time where you really have like a Predator as like the main character. I think that's part of the design of the face. Anyway, so the Predator, young, trying to prove himself, has to capture the Callus, but is not. Again, his brother wants to stop him because it's almost nobody has done it. So it's like highly improbable that a very small Predator will be able to do it, right? So that shows that like the brother and Deck, they have a lot more character. There's a lot of character interplay happening, right? That's never really happened before. You have like Predator family members dealing with each other, right? So the older brother wants to protect his brother. Father wants older brother to kill younger brother. So there's a distinct difference, right, between there's a clash between the Predator in the Predator culture, right? Now maybe the father is like maybe he is just like a really unusual, or he's like an extra brutal kind of Predator. Is he the norm? It's not unclear, but it just shows like the Predator culture is also not like a monolithic culture. It's like internally there are like differences and disputes, right? Because the father says, this is our way. What we're going to do is we have to kill everything weak. Anyone, like, to show mercy is also weak. That kind of reminds me of Mortal Kombat Annihilation with Raiden and his dad. Die with your weak human. And if you ever seen Mortal Kombat Annihilation, that's another action movie based on video game franchises / action movies that became video game franchises. Anyways, I do not want to remember you being this weak, Raiden. That's what Raiden's father's. Predator Badlands. Dan Trachtenberg must have gone back and watched Mortal Kombat Annihilation right before he made this, right? Because also, fun fact: Shao Kahn, the guy who plays Shao Kahn, is also one of the Brotherhood of Steel assholes in the Fallout TV show. Anyway, but in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Raiden's father, who is Elder God, orders Raiden to kill his brother, right? Who is actually Shao Kahn, and Raiden refuses, and because he's weak, then his father disowns him. And then, but it's all about fathers demanding brothers kill each other to gain the rightful place, right, in the throne. And because and so actually, yeah, it's like so rated is like trying to help humans, and the father, the elder god, deems humans as weak, right? And why are you protecting humans? Why are you protecting humans? I don't want to remember you as being this weak, right? It actually like that the trajectory of Mortal Kombat Annihilation is actually basically the same as Predator Badlands. Weak son ends up, okay, I shouldn't say what happens at the end of the movie. But I mean, it's very similar, where like the kind of very fascistic, ultra toxic patriarchal father demands violence, fratricide from his son. One difference is Shao Kahn doesn't refuse, right? Shao Kahn is just still doing his father's bidding, whereas in the Predator Badlands, Quay is the father kills the brother, right? Because the brother protects his younger brother. His father says, "I will kill you for protecting." Those who protect the weak deserve death, right? That's what he says, right? So I must now. So the father kills the older brother, and the older brother helps the younger brother escape, right? So it's implied that so that obviously, all right. So there's all this conflict inside there's an internal predator Yautja, internal predator cultural conflict, internal family conflict, right? And because Deck is like young, like when he goes to the planet, like he's like a teenager, right? So he's kind of still trying to prove himself. Like the way he talks and acts is very like, I heard, I heard this from somebody, so I'm gonna do that. That, my brother, my parents or other people, the older people said, you got to get the Callus. You gotta be strong. So I'm gonna do that. I am Deck. I will get the Callus. I will bring the Callus. I'm gonna, like, right? It's like a young boy like signing up for the U.S. military. I am Bobby White. I'm gonna defend freedom and democracy. I'm gonna go to Iraq. I'm a black or brown person that's disproportionately represented in the U.S. military. I'm going to sign up for the U.S. military. I'm going to go to Venezuela. I'm going to protect Venezuelan freedom and democracy. I'm going to bring democracy to Iraq. I'm going to bring democracy to Vietnam. It's like, I'm not saying that's what the point. I'm just saying like, it's a young person trying to prove himself to his culture. I'm going to go kill all the Vietnamese and bring freedom and democracy to them at the same time. So he's like very like just like this is his final exam, I am Deck. I will ace the math and English exam. I am Jane Doe from Wisconsin. I will get a 1400 on my SAT. It's your trial, right? I am Mark Zuckerberg's daughter. I will get into Harvard. Well, I mean, you don't really got to try. Just be related to rich billionaires. That's all you got to do. Just like George W. Bush. Anyways, so he's like trying to like rally, get himself going. It's like that's a particular, and like he's like talking to himself a lot. Like he literally starts like talking to himself, and he's like saying that, like, and I think the actor said he had to say that in the mirror a whole bunch of times. I am Deck. I am Deck. I am Deck. I will get the Callus. I mean, because he is a smaller predator. I mean, it is like every other predator, bigger and stronger than him, has died trying to get it. So it is kind of like, he's kind of an unhinged. He's a kind of a wild dude. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess he's in a weird position. He's in a bad position because like his father said, if you don't come back with the Callus, don't come back, right? Or I'll kill you. So, I mean, what does he do, right? He's kind of in a weird, messed up place, right? His brother that he obviously he loves his brother, or he's close to his brother. As whatever Yautja, whatever Yautja tribal hunters feel, he's close to his brother, but also like he still wants to prove himself to father, right? And he's also like, why did father kill brother? Like what is it? Like he's like a teenager trying to figure out, like, there's all these different messages. Don't join the U.S. military, right? Become a revolutionary, join this leftist organization, don't join the U.S. military. Keep studying and learn, don't join the U.S. military, be a fireman, right? Don't join the U.S. military. Sign up for I don't know, just like take a leap year, go fucking lay bricks. Don't, what am I gonna do in my life, right? Don't sign up for the U.S. military. I'll go to Wall Street and trade the stonks and get rich like Elon. That's my role models for the world from Western culture, which is just get rich by, I don't know, being good at business and gaslighting and hurting other people and lying and cheating, stealing and killing. So that's your two choices. You can make tons of money destroying the world, or you can make tons of money destroying the world and going around in Teslas and going to fancy parties. So like that's the young men's options for role models. That's why Alien Earth director Nathan Hawley said he had to make Alien Earth, because young people, he said his son, he had his kids who were looking up to him and he's like, Dad, where's our role models? And he's like, oh shit, yeah, just rich, absolutely terrible people leading everything, and you either gotta fight in their militaries, or you gotta they want you to try to be them, making tons of money, ripping other people off in their capitalism. So it's like, yeah. Anyways, but I mean, it's kind of like a story of a toxic patriarchal system where, in that sense, like, it's what a lot of young people will face, and young boys will definitely face, right? Actually, statistically, nobody wants to have boys anymore, even around the world, and especially in Asia, actually East Asia, they like don't want to have boys, because it's women are far more likely to do care work and be helpful to parents and later on in life, throughout life, and especially later in life. And it's just not beneficial to have boys, because it's unfortunate. I mean, it's not necessarily it's bad to have boys, but it's like partially it's just like a toxic, patriarchal, misogynistic, fucked up culture that infantilizes, spoils boys, and makes abusive, crappy guys, and then they spread that around, and that's part of a global capitalist, imperialist, hegemonic, patriarchal structure. Anyway, long story short, so Deck has to kind of prove himself, but so like a lot of it is like trying to figure out like what he's like, but like he's like, I'm very sure of myself. But you don't tell yourself, I am very sure of myself. I am very sure of myself. You don't keep saying that to yourself unless you're unsure of yourself, right? Why do you have to? If you're so sure of yourself, then you're confident, right? Is people go, look, I'm really cool, like Canadians, right? Oh, look at that, I'm totally not wearing Levi jeans, except actually here's my Levi jeans label that I scrubbed off. Like this Holly and I have various people in our in Holly's circles that like literally that's the case. So, like I totally don't care what people think, but I don't care what people think. That's why I'm wearing this. I scrubbed all the brand names off of my Gap clothes and my Levi's jeans, but they are really Levi's jeans. In fact, I bought them at mall. I bought them at full price at that mall over there. And it's like, if you really were confident in how cool you were, you wouldn't tell people how cool you were. If you're really confident that you are Deck and you are Yacha and you will bring the colors, you wouldn't keep saying that. Anyways, but that's part of his. He is really unsure of himself, right? I think that's part of his character, and he's going into a very dangerous situation, right? And so he does have to psych himself up for something that he doesn't know if he will succeed at it. So he has to do whatever he has to do, right, to kind of deal with it. It's like the Badlands is like the ultimate final exam, The Badlands is like it's like the ultimate dungeon in the Dungeons and Dragons, I was thinking specifically of the 2000 Dungeons and Dragons with a very difficult obstacle course. Very difficult dungeon. It's the ultimate because it's like so much will kill you, right? So it's and the thing he has to kill is basically immortal, right? I mean, it's not quite immortal, but it's like it like regenerates as fast as the Blood God from Blade 2. The closest thing is actually that there's a scene in Blade 2 at the very end where Blade, Wesley Snipes, has to fight this vampire that like successfully captures all the elder ancient Fang ones and exsanguinates all their blood in the proper formation at this proper day to bring about the blood ritual and bring about the blood moon and the blood god power that is infused into him. And then if you cut his arms off, Blade's katana cuts his arms off, right? Wesley Snipes does his ninja moves, and then his arm comes back together in like 3 seconds. If you cut his torso in half, and like his intestines like shoot out from his stomach, grab onto his legs, and like pull him back together. And that's basically what happens when you the Callus in Badlands, when they get to the Callus. He thinks he's won. Not that. What the shit is that? When he gets to the Callus, he thinks he's won because he stabs it, cuts its head off, right? Cuts it up, cuts its arm off, cuts its tail off. No matter where he cuts it, it just basically instantly grows back together. It's also huge, right? And no matter how or where he cuts it, it always just keeps growing. It grows back together, and not like slowly regenerates like Wolverine, or even like vampires regenerate, but it takes some time. Like once the callus is cut, it instantly just like sucks back within seconds. It's back together. So it's like, how do you kill that thing, right? It's like how. That's why the predator. That's one that you could say. That's like how. It kind of shows you like how the predators have never succeeded, right? Is because it's incredibly difficult to kill. Now, you have to watch the movie and find out like if and how somebody kills it. I want to say, but anyway, so wrap this up. It's almost 2. Hunting. So I didn't talk about hunting. So obviously you kind of get the point. I think that like the indigenous hunting culture, right? They're there, and they are like, there's a toxic patriarchal aspect to it that can happen. That's one of the, as a native Hawaiian, like one of our key things is trying to maintain balance of genders, and if not, we have had a more matriarchal and also matrilineal structure, as many indigenous cultures in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Pacific have had historically, and so. Like, I mean, in that sense, like, there's a lot of similarities I see inside the predator culture. In that way, also hunting, that's part of our culture, certainly. Like in Hawaii, I don't know if you know, I mean, if you ever lived in Hawaii or you've been in Hawaii for a long period of time, the Hawaiians, hunt boar, also catch fish, and a variety of other animals as well. So that's like, hunting is obviously is a long historical part of our culture and many others. Not every single culture necessarily, but some kind of harvesting of food in nature, and also very important, like it happens in the natural world, as opposed to like the whole natural world being destroyed, controlled, contorted in a way that like harms all life on Earth, which is what Western capitalism does, and colonialism, and so. I mean, it's clear because the predators do have planets, right? That's very important. Predators have more advanced technology than Weyland-Yutani, than humans. But the predators, and they know these planets. They know the Callus planet. They have that planet, right? That has the they drop off the Yakuza, they drop off Adrian Brody, U.S. military special forces, right? They drop all the U.S. Venezuelan invaders down there. The predators know that planet, right? They haven't sucked every single resource out of that planet. The predators haven't like destroyed and converted that planet into, right, a kind of toxic husk, sucking all the fossil fuel out and burning it all, right? The human colonial capitalist Western Weyland-Yutani, it's implied that they, right, especially in Alien Earth, they are destroying and damaging, and they have historically, and they still do, right? Colonizers and the Western imperial colonial capitalist culture does destroy and damage and extract, right, resources, doesn't care about preserving natural habitats, doesn't care about buffalo, doesn't care about all life on Earth, which is destroying, and doesn't care about it. And it's part of the U.S. military and U.S. Pentagon and the billionaire class asking the question, how do we keep control as we kill the planet, as capitalism and overuse and over-capitalist, over-extraction destroys ecosystems, pollutes the air, pollutes the water, causes climate change? We're going to do that. And it's just like, how do we keep controlling everything as we destroy everything, right? But the predator is like similar to it. That's why I like the predators as a culture, because like I have in Neofeud too. I have a design of a super advanced, like very very ancient, but also like indigenous culture in the sense it's more like so it's not necessarily indigenous. It's more like healed human civilization style cultures, because we're all the same species, but just some have like very warped, kind of toxic, broken cultures from some, not in various ways, right? Not individuals, but the overarching civilization has become very distorted, right? And the ideologies and the systems are the lifeways systems, politics, economics, history is just all warped. That's a lot of what I think a lot of it's wrong with the imperial Western capitalist world. And so like there's an indigenous species that has warped technology, like the predators, right? They have cloaking technology, right? They have like predators. They have all this technology that's like science fictional relative to the human, even the spacefaring humans, right? And that's the case in Neofeud too. There are they're human. They're like Western. They're called Eutropians in Neofeud too. They are spacefaring, but the indigenous aliens out there are way more advanced than them, right? And in Predator, Weyland-Yutani has spacecraft, right? The imperial, right, Western corporate Weyland-Yutani, they have spacecraft. They have synthetic androids. These are technologies we don't really have, right? They have some kind of cryogenic technology, right, for long-term cryo sleep. But the indigenous aliens are also way beyond them, right? That's why Weyland-Yutani is like, if we could bring back the predator, if we could bring back the predator weapons and their tech, that would be extremely valuable to us. They want that because they have, they have technology that's beyond them. And so, and it's also similar to Neofeud. So it isn't necessarily gone into, it's not necessarily gone into, but it's implied that at least the predators have entire planets where the life there is all preserved, right? Like the number one goal of a predator society is not maximum power, domination, accumulation, all means necessary. I mean, I see maybe there's a predator, maybe we'll find some other predator homeworld. There was some split in the civilization a long time ago. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the whole entire comic book and movie and all the lore. I don't know all the world building. But like the predators leave their planet as a place to hunt. They don't try to go, because obviously the predators, they have like nuclear weapon plus technology, right? They could probably just destroy everything on that planet, right? With a cutlass on it. They could kill and destroy everything and suck all the resources out of the planet they drop Adrian Brody off on. They could kill all humans on Earth. If they, right? Again, the predators, right? They have they have like spacecraft that can like zip out of the atmosphere instantaneously. If the predators wanted to kill every human on Earth or make them all human slaves, right? If predators were like European and Western colonial capitalists, white culture, they would come to Earth and enslave everyone, just like what Westerners project into space with War of the Worlds, or try to, right? They would come to Earth and they would try to force everyone into slavery, dominate them, turn them into cattle, right? Kill them all, right? Starve them, right? Just like Westerners have done to Native people around the world. Right? That's the projection, right? But the predators don't do that. They come to Earth and they don't just kill random humans, right? They don't starve the women and children to death, right? They don't like try to starve and kill off people by sanctioning them, right? By cutting them off, what the U.S. does to Venezuela. It's 40,000 people died in 1 year from sanctions, killing disabled, elderly, and the most vulnerable. I mean, that's just one place. 38 plus million people have died just from U.S. sanctions in the last 50 years, right? So the predators don't come to Earth and starve people. They don't come to Earth and just like slaughter everyone. Predators don't come to Earth and give everyone smallpox blankets and kill them off with biological warfare. Predator, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the part that's troubling to Westerners, to Americans, and to Europeans, and to white people in general, and anyone who wants to go along with the Western imperial capitalist racist colonial system, is that they're not like a lot of the ones that because there are science fiction where that's the way that. Because that is still the way the U.S. operates around the world. That's still the way the West operates around the world. Canada and all of them all operate the same way. That's why they're trying to get Mali's gold through Barrack, and the Africans are saying, no, we're going to use our resources for ourselves, right? And right, giving 99. That's why the U.S. still wants to take 99% of the value of Venezuela's oil and stick it in its private corporations and give the Venezuelans nothing. And Marco Rubio and even the liberals, all they are unhappy about is that the Trump and the current administration is not doing it in the nice way that looks nice, which is fund opposition, color revolution, push a whole bunch of money and people with guns into our country, destabilize it, and quote unquote have a new government without the U.S. directly going in with its forces and kidnapping someone. But the only difference between the Republican, Democrat, liberal, and conservative methods is just like how overt it is. But it's all of it's a mass criminal, colonial, horrific crime against humanity. A crime against so-called democracy that the West cares about. So, I mean, but the predators don't do that. The predators are non-interventionist. The predators respect the prime directive, which is the Star Trek talking about what West wishes it was, but it isn't. Right? Because it intervenes everywhere. Everywhere, there's nothing that isn't touched by intervention. Anyone tries to give away free healthcare that isn't inside of a freaking settler colony or a bulwark state that's part of waging imperialism, they're instantly going to be invaded by the U.S. or have massive attempts to overthrow the country in 25,000 different ways. And the U.S. dollar will be weaponized against it. So anyway, so long story short, so that's so the predators don't profiteer. Weyland-Yutani, what the fuck is that? Weyland-Yutani does do that. Weyland-Yutani, as a representative of Western colonial capitalism, they show up and they want all the creatures. They want to put them in a box. That's what Alien Earth is about. Weyland-Yutani and other corporations bringing all these species back for profiteering and domination and control, making more technologies, in particular military technologies and other technologies of control and murder of everyone and everything. So that billionaires like Kid Cavalier or Elon Musk, right, or whoever is the most powerful Westerner in charge can keep running everything according to their horrific designs. So so the predators profiteering. Different ways of raising wolves. I bring that up because, as one of the OG, right, the predecessor of the Star Spangled Roman Empire was just the Roman Empire, whose legend is, right, Romulus and Remus were raised by a wolf mother, and that gave birth to the Roman Empire, which is obviously gave birth to the American Empire, which is obviously gave birth to Weyland-Yutani's empire in this time, and is also kind of I think there might be a metaphor there with I'm not sure if I haven't looked at it that closely, but Tia and Tessa, the two synthetics played by Elle Fanning, they call the AI, the Weyland-Yutani machine, is called Mother, MUTHR or something like that. I forget. It's an acronym, right? And the mother, right? But the mother and there's two of them, right? Like kind of like Romulus and Remus, but girls. And Romulus kills Romulus kills Remus, right? As part of the legend of Rome, right? So the brother had to kill the brother, right? The brother had to prove his strength by killing his own brother, right? To show how ruthless he was, so that he could become the head of a ruthless, barbarous originator of all of Western history and the Western design, which still is the design of the United States and the British and at all, right? So the Roman Empire, right? Which is based upon the ability to kill even your own family members, right? The ability to kill children is actually part of what is required of you in the West, right? Obviously, that's why the Epstein files is irrelevant. I mean, everyone is all embedded, is literally working with and around all these pedophiles. That's about child abuse, right? It's almost like in order to prove yourself as a white or Western ruler, you have to be okay with Epstein Island and everything that represents. Hillary Clinton defended pedophiles. That's how she made her big legal as a lawyer. That's how she made her her career. Right? So that's part of what the devil's advocate is about: defending people who abuse children. Right? And she's currently very high in the West. Right? So it's all about being able to kill your own family members, kill the innocent. Right? And I'm not sure what is all meant there, but I mean that's part of, right. But that culture is like very different to the predator culture. with the exception of the father. But that's actually where mother, the Weyland-Yutani mother, and like the specifically the father of Deck have that in common, right? You must kill your sibling. You must kill your sibling to prove it. And the mother says you must do whatever you have to do, bring back at all costs. But at one point, it will require killing the sibling, right? I mean, it will require the two Weyland-Yutani Corporation leaders, right? Because Tessa and Tia are like the two. There's only two of them, right? And one of them is a science specialist. One is the military commander. But one of them, they will have to kill the other, right? In order to prove, right, that you can carry out this continued toxic structure, right? And so but I'm I think there's something there. I'm not sure if it's been written about yet, but and they have like hordes of these white guys that keep getting their ass kicked a shit ton of times. So if you are a white guy, you might not like this movie that much because the only like on-screen visible white male actor is getting chopped in half, his head cut off, decapitated, everything that happens in Bravely Bold Sir Robin from Monty Python and Holy Grail, and his kneecap split and his eyes burned out and his head crushed in and his tonsils removed and it is bravely bold Sir Android went forth to the Badlands. He was not afraid to die 'cause he was an android. He was not at all afraid to be killed in nasty ways. Anyway, that guy dies so many times, and but anyway, so and then there's like a white girl and there's a black, brown, definitely non-white coded alien out there, literally played by a Samoan Tongan actor. So I mean, I guess if you're mad about the quote unquote wokeness about it, I mean, whatever, okay. I'm sure you'll stay enough. You'll get enough blue check mark Elon bucks to pay for your rent for another few months, I guess, with making angry movies about angry YouTube videos and shit about this. But anyways, so long story short, so yeah, I think that's that. So there's raised by wolves. The wolf metaphor comes up, as I mentioned. Like there's an anti-Jordan Peterson message, right? It's like she talks about the earth wolf. The earth wolf is very strong, and they are in packs, and they're very successful. They're very feared creatures. And then the predator Deck goes, oh well, I will come to earth and kill many wolves then, because that'll prove how awesome I am, right? And I will finally be accepted by my father, my fucked up father, my Darth Vader. And so then she's like, well, no, the alpha wolf, right? The alpha wolf is very strong and is feared. Oh, I will kill this alpha wolf, and then that will bring great glory to me. And then she's like, no, the alpha wolf is not the wolf that kills the most. The alpha wolf is the one that best protects the wolf pack, right? That is a lot of pro manosphere, I don't know what the fuck ever, the extra patriarchy Western civilization, which is synonymous with patriarchy, of course. That crowd is very much like, I think that's one thing that they're not gonna be. That line is said. It's said, and that's like the other side of that is what plays out. Right? It's very anti. It's very anti this might makes right strong alpha wolf, which has been part of male dominated patriarchal controlled science, including biology, for a long time. Only recently has it really been examined, and it's like actually there's a lot. That's where a lot of this it's been shown that it's actually inaccurate. It's only in really specific controlled circumstances that you can observe that kind of behavior, and it's actually not the norm in nature, right? And so that's where that's why I kind of subtitled this different ways of raising wolves, because he is kind of a lone wolf that has to learn how to be part of a wolf pack, and the space Roman descendants Romulus and Remus, raised by Wolf Mother, have to learn how to turn against their nasty Roman wolf heritage. So anyway. Okay, I will now wrap this up. Thank you for watching. This is Silver Spook. This has been a Silver Spook video. Don't forget, if you missed yesterday, there's James' interview with our fellow game dev of Techno Babylon, James Dearden. But if you'd like to support us, Silver Spook at Silver Spook Cooperative, ko-fi.com/silverspook, directly support us through Patreon, that way with a one-time donation, or patreon.com/Neofeud, where you can give us ongoing support at the Silver Spook Cooperative, as well as get access to behind the scenes of what we're working on, such as Neofeud 2, which is another, it's like a science fictional game set in a wider setting like Predator as Badlands, I suppose. It's a galaxy-wide setting, and it's also a game that is almost done. I got at least 2 hours of the entire game completely finalized and counting. We also do, speaking of indigenous issues and decolonization and among other things, we also do a lot of work locally as Native Hawaiians-led cooperative, anti-colonial cooperative, and including in making food, growing food, right, participating in our local ahupua'a system, as well as which is indigenous-led trade center, as well as a Silver Spook Cooperative. We grow tons of food as much as we can here in our indigenous sustainable ways as possible. And also we're working on other games like possible sequels to Neofeud 2. And if you want to help us out to do any or all of that, patreon.com/Neofeud. You also get access to the Silver Spook Discord and the Silver Spook University. Over 1,000 hours of the content we've put out categorized according to topics. You can also get, for example, you can also get Neofeud on Steam for Windows. And it's also a game that every sale does help us out here at the Silver Spook Cooperative. I am the solo artist, writer, programmer, musician, and half of the voice acting on this game. It's also a game that's, if you have a second to leave, even a very short review, it does help to get the game discovered in Steam. And it's also, you can get these games on itch, several Silver Spook games, as well as short story collections and stories like Woman, which critiques right-wing Christian culture, written by Holly. And you can also follow Silver Spook all over the place. There's also Silver Spook music on Bandcamp, including a Neofeud 2 soundtrack, which is already out, ahead of the game itself. And you can also follow Silver Spook at Mastodon.social, at Silver Spook at Wandering.shop, Twitter, just look, all over the place for Silver Spook and Silver Spook Guy or Silver Spook Games. And you can also follow Holly at Allergic to Blue. Oh shit, I'm a little over. I always want to get out early. I'm like, I want to get out early today. I'm like, no, you're not. At Allergic to Blue, Holly is, of course, married to myself, a partner here at Silver Spook Cooperative, and always doing important work, sharing important information, obviously, like the information and links in the chat, as well as and many other things around here. And so don't forget to follow Holly as well, and thanks to all of our Patreon patrons for your support. Without your support, hard to keep doing this work. So thank you so much to all of our patrons, including our new patrons, AAAAAA. And I think there was one other one. Shoot, did I put that person down? Okay, I'll check it. I gotta check again later. But thanks, patrons, for your support. Without your support, again, it's hard for us to keep doing this work in these difficult times. So thank you so much. Until next time, keep mirror shades polished. Be excellent to each other. Just don't forget to wash the blood off of your spears and out of your hair, unless you like the way that it is, like Tia, and you can leave it dyed yellow and pink if you like that. And have a good time, and we'll be back next